Yeah. Okay. Well, let's try again. YouTube has selected. Okay. How is the audio now, folks? Tell us how's it going, just in case. If anyone could hear me, please comment in the chat whether it's attractive or legible, or you can hear us, or audible. What's the word? Better mic. That's good. Anything?
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. You know what? When you switch to Hong Kong, a lot of problems get resolved.
Apparently, something happened where you switched to Hong Kong, and that's probably one of the key issues to what happened earlier.
Yeah, just when in doubt, just rely on the Hong Kongs. They know what they're doing. Well, thank you very much, guys, for correcting that problem. I'd hate to sound god awful. That would be a painful experience. And again, it's myself and LiteratureDevil, and we're looking at two videos. The first one's going to be from I have some news report. I don't even know the agency who did it, but it's going to be giving us some context on the Joker movie, what's been happening with Joker the past few months. And, of course, the Shipman is going to be with us on the screen. So brace
If
yourselves for
anyone
that.
has, if anyone has been out of the context of the Joker movie, although if you live in America, I'm not really sure how that would be possible because they saturated the news with this. But the media was freaking out. They were making their own little straw man here of this the Joker movie is going to empower white males and it's going to cause incels to rise up and shoot up places, and they were so wanting and hoping for this to happen so they can wag their finger at the Joker movie because it's not just because of this, but they really started to hate the Joker movie because the director is anti woke culture. He's an actual human being. He's not an NPC or anything. They,
He's
they,
an
they
actual
came after
human
him. Yeah, he's an actual human being behind this. What a coincidence this is, isn't it? Where finally we have a really good movie, or what I've heard is a really, really good movie, and it happens to have an actual human being behind the driver's seat. Is it a coincidence? I'm not really sure it is.
It is interesting because the movie is so good on the premiere nights. A lot of people just walked out because it was so intense. The experience of whatever was happening on the screen was so intense. They had to walk out I think it was halfway through. That's when the climax hits. It's like, okay, this
That's my
is
kind of movie. That's
that
my kind of.
any kind of piece of art which caused you to get out of your seat, at least a movie, to view at a public place. That's pretty intense. That's a pretty amazing flick. So you gotta delve deep somewhere in humanity to pull that out and to scare or amaze or to cause someone to be so disgruntled, so aroused, be whoa, I can't watch this anymore. I gotta go take a breather, or maybe I gotta go home.
Or
And
something.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd get. I'm a fairly stoic fellow, so I don't think I'd get that aroused or that excited by a movie to scare me. I do remember my cousins telling me they walked out of Batman Forever just because it was so bad.
Really, Batman Forever?
Yeah, the first 10 minutes where
That's,
they're surfboarding on the
that doesn't
air.
make any sense to me. That doesn't make
Yeah, I don't know. I thought surfboarding Batman and Robin would be kind of fun, but
that sounds fun. I think Batman Forever. That was one of my favorites. I think because it was so over the top and wacky.
oh yeah,
And it came out when I was little, and I can actually see or little but big enough too, where I can see that sort of movie. So
okay.
I really like that. When I got I think I got the glass for it too, like the big mug.
I'm sure it's the
But
one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and was it Jim Carrey? I can't remember. I get just it was
It was one with Jim Carrey and Lee, Tommy Lee Jones,
right, right. It was just
Two
this
Face.
crazy big production. It was so corny. There was all these like putting his faith in all his grapple ropes and just
Hmm.
ridiculous over the top stuff. That my friend who was at the time he was a big Superman buff, and he watched that and went, "Oh my God, this is Mr. Schumacher's mess. I can't sit here anymore." So yeah, that's the only story I ever heard of someone walking out in a theater, at least personally. I'm sure there's other times in the news, but yeah. Okay, let's actually watch this 3 minute clip from news just to give you some context to how other people who might be a bit nuts thinking that a fictional character who might be a bit nuts is bad for the rest of the populace.
I have some bad news for you.
Yes, I love that
This is
laugh.
the
By the
last
way,
time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen to you.
As Gotham City's public mental health program gets the axe,
Arthur Fleck's medicines and counseling are cancelled. His work as a clown is a dead end, and he's constantly bullied by angry people in a gritty city teeming with division and dissatisfaction. However, Arthur is trying to live up to his mother's belief that he was born to spread laughter in the world, an expectation that feeds into his delusions of grandeur. But after he gets mocked and kicked one time too many, he fires the gun that opportunity puts in his hands. His transformation to the menacing Joker has begun. Critics are divided over Joker. Some see the film as an artful portrayal of a man's descent into insanity. But many say the film empathizes with the lone shooter as a victim of circumstances and then elevates him to an iconic vigilante.
And in either case, I would still want to see one of those films. It wouldn't bother me whether we are uplifting a protagonist who's bad or bringing him down because he's good. Like it doesn't, like, there's various reasons for drama, and you can interpret it any way, but that's the beauty of art. You can see it from different perspectives, even though it's the same thing that we're looking at. So to me,
this trailer was artwork to me.
That was,
I love this trailer.
That was, to me, yeah, if you have a piece of anything, any kind of art that you can look at it different ways and interpretations, that means there's layers. There's something for everyone to look at. And so long as we can agree that violence is bad, and that's kind of obvious if you live in a society. So to say that it's going to cause people to be violent is a bit out there. So as soon as you hear that phrase, like, oh, video games cause violence or this or that, and it's not just people from the left, it's people from the right as well. They don't know what to make of art.
Yes, the censor goes both ways. It's not just the left, although they are kind of prevalent these days.
People don't know what to make of great art because it's so profound and so impactful. And it's like, yes, we need more violence. We need more danger. We need more human aspects in these scenarios. That's why we watch these things. We don't want to be bored half the time. We don't want this milquetoast sort of experience. Can you imagine how boring it would have been if just Joker was just some guy down on his luck and, I'm going to go shoot some guys now. It's like, no, we want to understand him. We want to get in his head. And hopefully, I think that's what this movie does.
I think it does. It looks like it does. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but it looks like it dives deep into the mentality of someone who would want to be the Joker character, or want to follow in what we have come to imagine the Joker to be. But you have, I remember you had a super chat early on, right before the stream. Let's see here. Malachi Dunn, $4.99 super chat.
Oh, thank you.
Haven't seen the Joker, but this take from Bob made me think you are either watching the movie wrong or you're misrepresenting it because of your politics.
I think the second one is, we could all agree with. The first one is, I really, there's two things we say to people that we don't understand very well or very often. Is one, did you watch the same movie we did?
Yeah, that we asked that one a lot.
Yeah, and the second one, how did you watch this? Because there's a filter in front of your face, in front of your ears that we don't have, and we want to know what filter you're using because we can't understand where you're coming from. And usually that filter is some bias towards some form of politics, some form of ideology, some form of this or that. And it's just like, guys, can you just like curb it, like tone it down? If you want to use a feminist criterion for analyzing art, you can do that, but be honest about it. Okay, don't just sit there and say this is a horrible movie because women die and that's bad. It's like, okay, yeah, women dying is bad, but so is death in general. So it's not a feminist thing. It's just the fact that people die. That's the real.
To be fair, these come from the same mentality as these reports are coming out that the tragedy is that 25% of homeless people are women. What a horrible tragedy. That's a tragedy. Not that 75% are men, 25% are women. We can have homeless people as long as they're not women. Then it's fine.
Oh yeah.
You forget about the rest of those people. So this is when you want to think about where these critiques are coming from that are from people who subscribe to this sort of ideology. These are the sort of thoughts they also agree with. That it's not the women are the main victims of war because their husbands died.
Oh, yeah.
That sort of thing. That was from Hillary Clinton. So this is the sort of mentality that we're going into, just to keep that in mind.
And we're getting to the professor soon. Just so you, once you hear her words, you're like, okay, you are a PhD. Okay.
Those critics is George Mason University film professor May Santiago. She calls Warner Brothers Studio and filmmaker Todd Phillips' decision to make such a film irresponsible after a slew of mass shootings in the country by men exhibiting behaviors similar to that of the Joker.
We're traumatized.
Okay, so already we're equating mass shooting people to a fictional supervillain in a comic book. Okay.
So what are they trying to do already? Like, are they trying to say that if this movie comes out, this is basically the modern day Catcher in the Rye?
I don't know. I don't think anyone wanted to be Caulfield in Catcher in the Rye. I don't think anyone actually wanted to be him.
No one does. I'm pretty sure no one does.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked about this is that the Joker movie and the people on it, and the director especially, did not kowtow to this overwhelming backlash. They did not change the movie or say, oh, we're sorry about this, or go on and apologizing for forever. They actually took all the bad things people had said about them, and then they put them on like the advertisements.
I think that's the good way for DC to go. They've been doing their only success in terms of doing the blockbuster style movie was Wonder Woman. The second success they had was with Shazam, and that was not a big movie. It was still a large budget, but
I actually watched Shazam. It was all right. It was fine.
Yeah,
it was watchable.
It was like I know it was shot in Toronto most of the time, and the shots were simple. The story was simple to follow, but they seem to be doing well with smaller stories and working with that as opposed to doing big things like the JLA or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever else they had planned. So it's like if they keep doing this, you're going to keep getting really good movies of individual characters being focused upon, and then that'll be that. Like just do really good stories that are just independent and beautiful and gory and whatever. I think they could work because Marvel clearly has their formula.
Yeah, they have theirs. It's a popcorn munching crowd,
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's this their formula, the popcorn blockbuster.
Yeah. Plus, there's the DC there's the whole Netflix issue of how can they make this no-name Marvel brand or no-name DC brand great, and they've done that. They've done that with some shows as well. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated to television like with the CW, where of course the Sunday reveal of the Batwoman, which I still haven't watched. I'm doing a review of it soon. And they're just today, I think in another hour and a half, unless my time is off, they're doing Nancy Drew for the CW. And I'm like, oh dear, that's just not going to work. If anyone knows Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, these are young adult stories, novellas. And to put them into television format, I mean, it could be done, but I'm going to bet you the CW is going to screw it up. So... yeah, well, let's see what this wonderful film professor, PhD, Miss Film Studies major, has to say.
Feminist dance theory major.
Oh dear.
Society, and you're really going to throw in a blockbuster film, a film with millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh my God, it's a blockbuster film with a big budget. Oh my, what are you doing?
Your father pay to get you your PhD. What is your dissertation
How
like?
could they do that? That's horrible. Think of what they're doing.
I have a feeling her dissertation was written as a top 10 list. These are a top 10 movies that totally suck.
This is a PhD student. So I'm guessing once you go to the liberal arts, you can get a PhD in almost anything, and your intelligence level doesn't go up. It might even go down.
It might even go down. I'm betting it'll probably go down.
Your reading level, your communication skills, probably they don't go further up. You just sort of get stuck in this rut of subjective analysis and just saying this is art, this is English, this is literature, this is philosophy. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Have a coherent thought in your brain that no one else had, please.
Behind it. I'm sorry, but no, it's not.
I'm sorry, but no.
Is she on Twitter? I think to me, she seems like one of these people who usually stay behind Twitter all day. and she just now is getting into an interview. It's like she's one of those people who just puts out one of these like little pithy quips on Twitter, these woke pithy quips.
I'm a professor of film studies, and you don't get to do that. Like, what? That's not an argument. What you should be doing is writing an essay or teaching a class or doing an op-ed or something to express why you think this way. Not, this is wrong because they're using a big budget and it's just wrong. Like, no, it's not an argument.
That easy. And with one of the most iconic characters in the cultural lexicon, you don't get away with it that easy.
What does that even mean? It's like, okay, we'll take Sauron from Tolkien. Oh, he's gonna murder a bunch of humans and elves. You don't get to do that, okay?
Because I say so. This is exactly this. You know, the way she's speaking is exactly the way NPCs speak. It's always that tone with a question mark at the end, even if it's just a statement. You know, it goes up at the end, and they always like to use big words so that they can confuse people around them, and so that they can sound smarter and more correct.
She sounds like a valley girl that missed class and somehow graduated for 4 years. And then
it is film study major.
But this is a PhD, so she did a thesis somewhere. Then she did
it's a dissertation.
Then she did another 4 years for masters, and it's like, okay, what the hell happened?
Yeah, like I said, I'm fairly certain that her dissertation was a top 10 list. So why these are top 10 movies that totally suck. You have another super chat. Andrew Clark, where was the sentiment for Dexter? Yeah, Dexter, the actual serial killer, the actual straight white male serial killer, who wasn't just like he didn't tout some ideology. He was just a serial killer who just happened to kill other serial killers.
Okay, that sounds.
No one hated that. No one hated that.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people talking about the endings of a lot of these series that people loved, and Dexter's one of them, where it ended on a low note or didn't know how to end properly. Same with Sopranos. I'm trying to think of other popular shows. Battlestar Galactica. Just these popular shows that I wouldn't say they're ultra violent, but the stories are pretty, there's lots of violence in them. So the problem is not the show itself, it's how it ends, I guess. And yeah, you're right. I don't remember any hoopla about Dexter.
Theaters around the country have increased security and banned masks from being worn by moviegoers.
The Los Angeles Police Department is aware of the historical significance and the public concern around the premiere of The Joker. While there are no credible threats in the Los Angeles...
Okay, wait.
Yeah, but imagine that. No credible threats. It's exactly the truth. There were no credible threats. This was just a media stunt.
What did they do? They go on like 4chan, like, oh no, this is going to be a crowd because of a new movie. We better roll out all the boys in blue. It's like, that's not... Policemen shouldn't be doing that. It's just kind of silly.
Yeah, they actually did roll out policemen for some of these showings for no reason at all, just because the media said, "Oh, there's going to be an incel uprising."
Were they
all the media?
Were they reading the pre-screened reviews of people on? Actually, it doesn't make any sense because it does make sense because on Rotten Tomatoes it got really low scores, so they were like reading all these pre-release reviews. It's like, oh no, people are going to hate this, so therefore there's going to be violence. Like if it was a bad movie, you might see some people get rowdy and maybe vandalize something after the movie or during the movie. But if it's a great movie, that's not going to happen. So,
what were they picturing though? Like, were they picturing as one of these like little incel uprisers going into a theater, watching it for a little bit, and then whipping out their AR-15 from under their coat and start going to town? What? Unless they're coming in with like a pistol or something, it's going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah,
they're carrying something in.
I'm trying to remember the guy who shot up the theater with Batman. He didn't even care that it was the Batman. He didn't.
Yeah, he just walked in and started shooting people.
He just wanted a popular place, and I think that was a premiere or whatever. And he just wanted to shoot a lot of people. That was the point. It wasn't because he was trying to be the Joker or whatever. How could he? He never saw the movie yet. It just came out.
Angeles area, we do encourage Angelinos to be vigilant.
In 2012, James Holmes killed 12 people and injured 70 during a midnight screening of another Joker film, Christopher Nolan's Batman blockbuster, The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, that's not a Joker film.
It's like a Joker film. It's a Batman film with a Joker in it. There's a difference.
And he didn't dress up as the Joker. He wasn't doing this because he saw the film and was inspired by the Joker. He just did it because it was popular.
He had crazy orange hair. I think that's about it.
Joker does not have orange hair, okay, guys? Just so you know.
No iteration of the Joker does he ever have orange hair.
Rises.
Though your heart is
Like, how come they weren't blaming Carrot Top or something? With someone with actual orange hair.
Carrot Top.
And that Carrot Top is he is inciting incel uprisings all over the country.
He's
Obviously, this guy had orange hair.
I'm kind of curious what happened to Carrot Top over these years, but
What did happen to him?
I think
he was there for a while.
I think after comedy he started buffing up. I heard he got
he really buffed up.
yeah. Don't know why though. Like, was that just because he just wanted to and he had money to do?
I think it was just because. I think so.
If you want to be
Because fellow comedians make jokes about it too.
oh, you want to be like a Tommy Wiseau sort of character, just be the extras in all these movies. You have to buff up and
Yeah, I guess so. Well, Tommy Wiseau, I think, is a lot more likable.
Oh well, yeah. You can't hate Tommy. You just can't.
Yeah, it's hard to hate Tommy Wiseau. He's so likable, unless you work for him.
Well, that's
Then you could probably hate him.
Yeah. Then it's okay.
So far, Joker has won 3 top awards at the Venice Film Festival, and Joaquin Phoenix is already garnering Oscar buzz for his performance.
Oh yeah, he's gonna win. There's no way he's not gonna win. He's just amazing.
I can tell by this trailer that he at least has a good chance. I love this trailer so much. It is a great trailer. It's done very well, very artistic.
Yeah,
and it gives you it conveys the sense of the movie very well.
And there's another trailer I actually like called Birds of Prey, which has the counterpart to Joker, Harley Quinn, obviously in a different universe than this one being depicted. I didn't hear anything about incel violence or female violence or any kind of it's like, no, it's just and in that trailer there's all kinds of violence. In this
she's
trailer,
also crazy.
Yeah.
She's also crazy.
And in this trailer, there's barely any, if at all. He gets hit by a car, I think. He gets punched once, but he's not doing any of the violence.
Yeah, it's all atmospheric. It's just all atmospheric, and it sets the tone. But he isn't physically doing any violence in this trailer.
So what's the problem? I don't get the problem, people.
I didn't see this as a traditional comic book trailer. I saw this like more of a Alan Moore feel. It's going into something deeper with the violence and the comic book elements being like tertiary to the main story.
Always curious why these people have these reactions, but it's just a big budget. Like, well, come on, what are you doing?
If you look at my dissertation, I can tell you that the 10 worst movies, the top 10 worst movies ever made, all have violence in them.
And usually characters' motivations are so clearly defined that we're telling the audience precisely what to feel and when. And what I like about this movie is it's really up to interpretation.
Art shouldn't be made in a vacuum.
That's true. Art should not be made in a vacuum. Thus, go out, experience life, realize that this is an aspect of humanity, and then do so. That's pretty much what they're talking about with Joker. It's one man getting trampled on by society and finally having his opportunity to express himself.
Art definitely shouldn't be made in a vacuum. It should be made in a bubble.
You should make art in a bubble, and then you pop it, and then it just splats all over the place.
And then you link your Patreon.
It's like she could have said any platitude about art, like, art is the sign of the times. Like, cut to another scene. It's like, what are you talking about? What are you trying to say, lady?
Santiago says we should hold art accountable to our social values.
It's been less than a month since our last mass shooting by a white man,
Oh my God. Like,
by a white man. If it was by anyone else but a white man, they would just say mass shooting. But now it's a white man, they have to say that it's a white man.
Yeah, because this is a story about a white guy who is really bad at rap and has his own issues with life. Joaquin Phoenix is a very interesting guy if you look at his career and his life. And trying to translate that to a fictional character I don't think Joker was ever a mass shooter in the books. I don't think he ever did that.
He was like a mastermind. He would use chemicals and poisons and things like that. If he wanted to shoot somebody, it would just be like a one-off. Like he would just shoot because he didn't want to do that. That was beneath him in most iterations of the Joker. And he would just he shoots somebody. Even in The Dark Knight, he rarely shot people. He mostly like set traps to prove a message and things like that. I mean, he did shoot people in the movie, but it was mostly just to get to his next objective. He didn't go off mass shooting people.
Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't like some crazy lunatic. Like I always talk about the Bond villains, how they are like masterminds as well, but they just don't go around shooting people unless you're talking about Christopher Walken. He actually pulls out an Uzi and starts shooting his workers. Like, There's that one scene I remember because it was so like, whoa, he's actually crazy. Like he's just totally a genius, crazy person that we've never seen in a Bond villain before. So yeah, Joker is one of the masterminds. He is the guy who plans things out. And I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know why she's going crazy about it. I don't know if she's seen it yet. I hope she did, or else her opinion is worth nothing. But
I think Jared Leto's Joker might be more of a mass shooter, but I don't really count him as a Joker.
Yeah,
I kind of just like forget about him.
He was a nice attempt that never, like most of that movie from Suicide Squad was like, hey, these are good ideas that just did not work. They did not come together.
It was a big pile of good ideas, but failed ideas.
Yeah, the best part of that movie that worked for me at least was the bar scene where they all just sitting around. And they're just,
that was awesome.
They were just talking, being people or trying to be people, despite being crazy. And it's like, oh, this is humanity. There's a little piece of humanity here, and I can understand what's going on. Whereas, you have Jared Leto who's trying to give away his girlfriend, and he's a nut bar. He's got these crazy tattoos. He's got all these knives and guns. Like, what do you try? Are you a gangster? Are you? Like, what is you have a public profile? Wouldn't that be kind of dangerous? Like, what are you doing here? So, Joker in the movies and in the books is very diverse. So to blame Joker on white male mass shooters is just, what are you talking about?
That's not what the Joker is. He's not a mass. He might be a mass murderer, but he's not a mass shooter. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Joker to poison a water supply or something like that with that like that Joker thing where they die and they're paralyzed so that they die in permanent smiles.
Right.
I wouldn't put that past him, but he's not a shooter. He's not this base like reptile brain shooter. He is a mastermind.
That's just the society we live in, and until gun laws start changing and there's more of a monumental shift in America.
Yeah, because if gun laws start changing, we'll get less shooters. Of course, that makes perfect sense, lady. Yeah.
Yeah, because the mass shooters be like, "Oh, can I get a gun? Sorry, that's against the law." Oh, okay. I better obey the law. I was gonna mass shoot, but I better obey the law. I don't want to break that.
If you have less people with guns, that means the mass shooter has more opportunities to shoot. He's like, oh, I have like 10 options. I used to have only one. Now I have 20. Thank you, laws.
In society, we should be defensive. We have to be defensive.
If we're going to be defensive, everyone should get a gun.
Now, I like this in particular. I like this scene in the trailer in particular because it gives me that Patch Adams feel.
Oh, really?
Because it gives you that oh look, he's trying to be innocent and playful for all the patients, and then it collapses again. So every time he tries to do something good or fun or something, it just socks him right in the face. And that's one of the parts I love about this trailer. It shows that in every visual it can. It's just a beautifully done trailer.
Penelope Pulu, VOA News, Washington.
Just smile.
Okay, welcome to the wonderful world of Bob Shipman, guys. Here we go.
And now for the main course.
I have some bad.
Well, alright. I was really hoping we were done with the whole grim and gritty realism thing, and yeah, the director is making an asshole of himself in the press and social...
Whoa, where are we going? What are we talking about?
He starts off hot. The director says, I think one of the quotes he's saying is that the director left comedy because woke culture is killing it, which he's on point right there. It's true, but of course the woke culture people don't like that.
That's
right.
right.
So the media started lambasting him.
That would make sense. It's one of the logical things we can understand about these people. They don't like the things they they talk about, and they will never watch it anyway. So
They don't watch or they don't buy the things they do like to talk about and stuff they do like. They say, yeah, okay, cool, it's made. Oh, that's fine. Are you gonna come buy a ticket for it? No. Oh, well, okay then. So you get solo.
For no reason, which is never a great sign, but this is a pretty interesting idea for a spin-off movie. The trailers have been promising. Joaquin Phoenix looks interesting.
Did he green screen his room? Is that?
I think he did.
Is that like his solution to green screen? He just paint his entire room fluorescent green?
It seems so. That way you
that's
can put things over it.
A little bit of overkill there, Bobo.
And I can see how this would open up the genre to fun and alternative takes and a space for people to really stretch within the studio system. So, yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I'm optimistic. Let's see what you got, Joker. Oh boy, this is not working. Oh no. Oh boy. Okay, well, but it is technically well made.
That's the greatest praise you can get from Bob Shipman. That your project isn't working. Okay, I guess it is. It's great then. Thank you for giving me your thumbs up.
Yes, everything that he says, just think the opposite. That's the general understanding we have of Bob.
Like if Mundane Matt didn't exist, Bob Shipman would be a perfect stand-in when it comes to movies. But
I don't know.
Fortunately for him, Mundane Matt is also into movies.
I don't know. I think Mundane Matt's language skills cannot rival the Chipman. I think Chipman's on a whole other cloud of words that Mr. Mundane does not have access to.
He's a final evolution.
Yeah, he's like a few levels upgraded, like 20 levels ahead. Hard to say.
We have another super chat. See, EC Cons, $4.99 super chat. Does your Dragon Ball Z T-shirt relate to insert pseudo intellectual word salad? Me? What are you talking about? So it's I think it's referring to the overthinking that all of these NPCs and woke people do. Like you put on a nice cool T-shirt, like, hey, I'll put my Batman T-shirt today. How does that Batman T-shirt relate to the social economical like equality between blah 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 X, group X and Y? And have you heard of that? You ever seen American Psycho and that scene in the restaurant where he goes on a tirade about how we need to decrease materialism in young people and increase that little speech when he's in the restaurant? That's basically what every woke and NPC person does when they see a shirt or pretty much anything that they can grab onto.
Oh dear.
So how does that using chopsticks? As you know, that's cultural appropriation. It's, they go on a big tirade for that. So that's what they do. No matter what you do, no matter how innocuous.
Using chopsticks in a Chinese restaurant. Oh my god.
Yeah, they will find some way to go on a giant pseudo-intellectual tirade and lambaste you over morals and other such nonsense.
So apparently the movie is not working for Bob. Let's find out why.
I guess, and I really don't want the internet to be throwing things at me all fucking year, so okay, movie, I'm willing to be super generous and let you off with like a 5 out of 10 if you can just get to the end of yourself without having him deliver a big dramatic monologue about society and hypocrisy and all the stuff that the preceding film was supposed to convey but did not. Deal? And you did the thing. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll give you one more shot if you can just
So he doesn't like monologues? I'm actually not a fan of big pretentious monologues myself, kind of like Mr. Chipman here, but sometimes some movies, you get to the climax or you get to whatever. I believe I'm trying to think of the Ayn Rand, the Fountainhead.
Yeah, the Fountainhead.
Or is it Atlas Shrugged?
I think it's the Fountainhead. I think it's the Fountainhead.
Where this is basically an entire chapter of the man just talking and talking, and you're just going, I get it. I really get it. You didn't like. She just went crazy off on how bad socialism was, and it's like, okay, but obviously she felt very strongly about that. So
I mean I agree, but okay, enough. It's so get your editor in here.
Yeah, so I'm not against Bob. I just want some context what he's referring to, because again, I haven't seen the movie. But if they have that, in case the message of the movie is not clear enough, sometimes you need a little bit of dialogue.
Maintain the courage of your original convictions that this was a one-off, unconnected, unique little experiment by not throwing in a gratuitous extra beat, leaving the back door open to syncing this up with the next wave of regular Batman movies if the fanboys demand it.
What is he talking? What's sometime later? Does he keep watching the movie? Is this like the first?
I think this is him watching, like metaphorically watching the movie. I mean, he's already watched it, but I think this is him going, okay, how about this? And they're breaking down sections of the movie and elements he doesn't like about it, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's like the first 20, then this happens, the next scene happens, and he's like, oh no. Like, okay, I guess that's what he's referring to. We don't know.
Well, shit. So Joker isn't good. I'm sorry. I mean, I really am sorry. I wanted this to be good, both because I sincerely want everything to be good, since the world is kind of miserable and worthless enough on its own.
Thank you for adding to the misery of the world there, Bob, with your pedantic word salads that are so hard to understand your opinions, let alone listen to them.
I highly doubt the Joker is bad. Mainly because Bob Shipman said it was bad.
Right, so we'll just assume it's good. And we'll keep, again, opposite day whenever we listen to Bobo. So that's the rule of thumb here, guys.
Last few years, and it doesn't also need the entertainment to suck, but also I'm just already tired here on day one of the inevitable. Well, you weren't 100% sold on the idea ahead of time, and you said so, which means you were biased and paid off by Disney or whoever, and just want every.
So he's admitting he's biased.
He didn't like it to begin with, probably because, I don't know, they didn't meet his woke standards.
He's trying to achieve his argument before we make it. It's like, we know you're biased, Bob. You don't have to tell us.
Joker was not a trans woman, lesbian.
Yeah, whatever. Flavor of the month. Okay.
Yeah. Movie to be one of the Marvel things, framing being applied to myself and every other critic that doesn't fall into line behind what I sincerely accept was a well-intentioned but admirably ambitious misfire already. Now, partly because, the sheer volume of irony involved in being lectured on deciding ahead of time to dislike something by people who already knew they were going to like it is frankly exhausting to cope with, but also
this guy spent 40 seconds saying absolutely nothing.
It's a word salad. That's the oldest trick they used to use. Now they use other things like just go to insults. But yeah, back in a few years ago, I think back in 2016, the word salad was their favorite form of expression. It seems that Bob has not evolved.
And all he's doing is preempting his fact that we know he's biased, and he's trying to lampshade the fact that, well, I know I'm biased. It's like, Bob, just own it, man.
Yeah, but one thing is good is that he is admitting his bias, which I also like to do, or I try to do when I can. But I'm pretty sure it's disingenuous because he's Bob Shipman, and he's going to go and say, "I'm right anyway, and you're wrong," because I'm Bob Shipman.
Yeah.
Because for a change, and rather surprisingly, Joker turns out to be the sort of bad movie that's bad mostly because it's so empty, unoriginal, and boring. With
Joker
unoriginal
is unoriginal. Like, what are you talking about?
What can you remember the trailer? This was not unoriginal.
When's the last time you saw
very unique
a villain superhero origin story?
This was highly unique, especially a villain origin story in this capacity, where it's the Joker, but it doesn't have to do anything to do with like the trailer. What the trailer shows us isn't about his violence. It's about the society beating him down every time he tries to do something good.
It has very little to do with Batman or his ongoing struggle in the stories that we know him as. He's not some weird, silly, cartoony character from comics.
He's a person.
They depict him as a person becoming this character, becoming this facade that he has to put on as a result of his environment and what happened to him. It doesn't matter whether it's a villain or a protagonist or a hero. That's a good way to orchestrate a story. So, how is this I don't get his opinion here. Like, what? The character is not original, fine, but depicting him as such in this way is quite original. I've never heard of a villain story, origin story before.
So little to actually say after all the self-insistence that the prospect of being forced to find more things to say about it even a week or two from now sounds like torment. In what's sure to become an infamously condescending press quote, Phillips claimed that he wanted to use Joker as a way to sneak a real movie in the studio system in the guise of a comic book film, but what he's delivered is more like a feature-length equivalent to one of those pop culture mashup t-shirts that you see on sale at these sketchy mall kiosks, you know, where like at first glance...
What is he talking about? I don't know. Pop culture sketch.
Pop culture media mash? What
is he talking about?
How could you possibly do that in this Joker movie? Are they like the Batman and Flash and Wonder Woman and Superman come in here too? I don't think so. Does this Joker cross universes? For judging from the trailer, I don't think that's true. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure at least the trailer didn't set up any sort of pathway to Joaquin Phoenix's mentally disabled Joker.
The only thing
crossing into universes.
The only thing I thought of was a pop art reference like Campbell's soup cans, or you see all these depictions of brand names. It's like, okay, maybe there's some T-shirts out there like that, but I don't know. Like, he's got this weird smile. He goes like, it's this movie about this T-shirt. It's kind of like that. You're like, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
And he's trying to use that word salad to sound more intelligent, or not. I'm not going to presume it's intelligence, but I mean, we could probably presume it's intelligent. But he's trying to sound intelligent so that you will be more inclined to agree with him. I think, and that's what the word salad is. That's what he's using, all these big words in quick succession, and I'm I'm fairly certain that's why he's doing this, so that he sounds intelligent. Look, all these big words he's using. This is, like I said, this is what NPCs and SJWs used to do, to sound like they know more than you do when they spat out their everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's blah 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 blah.
It's the poster for Scarface, but then you look again and it's not Tony Montana, it's like Vegeta, and you go, oh hey, that's cute. But then if you ask whoever
Really? They do that with movies? They put anime heads on top of the
I've never seen them do that with anime. I've seen that they do that with other cartoons. Like you have with Stewie Griffin. I think they put him on
you see that with like Star
Montana.
Wars. They see the poster for Star Wars. They put other characters like from the Family Guy, and they're like holding lightsabers. Like, yeah, I've seen that.
This does not give the vibe at all.
That has nothing to do with this movie.
Like, maybe it's I don't see how that would happen, because what would they do that with the Joker with? Like, what mashup is it? Like, I don't even know. Like, there's no other like allusions to other movies, unless it's like there's no clear allusions to other movies. That's like maybe homages or something. Like, it seems like they're inspired from.
Well, yeah, there's other movies we can look at, like Falling Down. There's Taxi Driver.
Oh yeah, Taxi Driver. That's actually what came to mind.
Yeah, there's other shows of people in their descent to madness, or going from riches to rags, or just a downward spiral. There's all kinds of those shows. So thanks, Bob, but what the hell are you talking about?
It's just one of those mashups.
Was like, so is the juxtaposition of like the tormented immigrant's journey corrupted by the twin demons of American racism and capitalism as embodied in the Scarface narrative with...
What is he talking about?
Okay, what are you talking about now? Now you've gone off the deep end, because this is a relatable story that I'm pretty sure everyone can, at least in some way, in some capacity, feel a relation to, because everyone, or at least most people, have felt like beaten down by society in some way or another at one time or another. You lost your job, you get a divorce, you lose a friend, someone just robs you out of nowhere. At one point or another, most people have felt beaten down by society. So this Joker movie portraying the trailer as it does can actually connect with the audience on that level, because people have actually felt beaten down by society. Of course, they probably won't become a supervillain.
Well, he's talking about capitalism. Like, where is Joker being a clown? That's his business, I guess.
Yeah, he's trying to make money by doing stand-up, I guess. That's capitalism.
Like, what are you talking about? I don't think that's the message of the movie there, buddy.
Vegeta's Saiyan Dark Prince to Husband Father Redemption arc supposed to be like mirroring an ironic or contradictory symbolism. They're like juxtapahoo.
Yeah, but Bob, what the freaking hell are you talking about?
So Vegeta, the Joker movie.
Dark
Joker
Mirror
movies.
Vegeta. What?
Bob Chipman. So let's talk about the Joker movie. So Vegeta, right?
What are you Trunks? I could really see Trunks in in this scene right here. The father, Oedipus complex. Like, yeah, okay, thanks.
No, Bob, no. I can't believe he just said that. No,
like he's smiling. He's been smiling for a minute. I'm like, dude, what is in your brain? Let it out, man.
All right, so today we're going to talk about this very intense, dramatic Joker movie. So Vegeta, Dragon Ball Z. What are you doing? What is going through your mind?
This reminds me of a 1996 episode of Sailor Moon where it's like, what?
No.
Stop. Stop.
You stop right there, sir. You stop right there. Before you commit yet another travesty against modern media.
Whew.
So it is with Phillips and Joker, or seemingly, wherein he smashes together the rough plot outlines of the most famous visual beats of Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, and also Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy, complete with Robert De Niro cameo, and plugs a revisionist origins.
Okay, he actually has some references. Those are two movies. Taxi Driver, if you don't know, that's a pretty famous one. If you haven't seen it,
It's a great one.
It's pretty over the top, but that's okay. King of Comedy is this guy who's obsessed with this very well-to-do comedian. He has all this material. He's like, did you read my story? Did you read this? Read that? And he's just constantly obsessing over to the point of getting violent. So similar ideas. So Bob obviously knows these flicks, but also very famous. Don't know what he's trying to say about them, but at least he has that acumen of knowledge that he can refer to. I just wish he'd talk about it. Like, when this guy says this in this movie, this relates to this. It's like, oh, great, okay. We can understand.
You got another super chat in Saint Chef. $5 super chat. Play Bob at half speed. Learn the lessons of EFAP so that you can properly parse his clown. So I guess EFAP also covers him, but they play him at half speed.
Oh, dear. I don't think I want to sit through. I mean, we talk enough, and it's going to be here we're going to hear for another hour, guys. Come on, you can't ask us to slow down. That'll hurt us.
Story for an iconic comic book bad guy into the villain protagonist spot for the ultimate purpose of saying, hey, if Scorsese or somebody had done a Joker movie in 1982, that would have been pretty hardcore, right? And not much else. The saving grace, yes, is that Joaquin Phoenix is very, very good here. I'm not necessarily sure that it rates as one of his all-time great performances, especially recently, but he clearly came to play, and it's all the more impressive when you realize that there actually isn't that much on the page for him to work with. Joker is a series of scenes and ideas and mood moments borrowed from other movies, comic panels, and bits of media that are meant to remind us of what those were about and rekindle those feelings.
Such as? He's talking about other stories that are connected, or that are basically every scene by scene of Joker is basically, oh, it reminds me of this comic, reminds me of that comic. And then it's like, okay, great. Is that good? Is that bad? Is this wrong? Is this, like, tell us, Bob, what should we be listening to and why?
That would hurt his narrative. I mean,
yeah, it's like, oh, it's
can't do that.
Just a collection of other scenes from other movies. Were those good movies? I don't know.
Which ones? Which ones, Bob?
And if so, how is that like a bad thing? Like, obviously, he didn't like the movie, so it's like, which ones? Which should we be looking at now? Because obviously, you can't spoil too much. So
not only is the movie not woke, it's anti-woke. It's making fun of. It's essentially making fun of Antifa.
You see,
and that's a big sin.
That would explain why he dislikes it, because he doesn't like the message that it's clearly about. It's like, oh, this is against my narrative. I can't like this. It's a bad movie because it reminds me of other movies that were also about comic book characters. It's like, well, yeah, he is based off a comic book character. Honestly, this could have been The Comedian. You could have titled this anything, and it'd be like, okay, a guy who dresses up as a clown and tries to become a comedian, and bad things happen to him.
Yeah, because in these sorts of movies, the skill really comes into the story. You can see the skill in the story and the characterization, because if you look at other great movies and great pieces of media that have these sorts of characters like the Joker at the center of them, the fact that they're crazy psychopaths tends to be like secondary. It tends to be around, tends to be something that's just, it's not central. What I'm trying to say is to the media. For example, if you look at Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, Patrick Bateman is an interesting, fascinating character who also happens to be a psychopath. You look at Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter is an interesting, fascinating character who also happens to be a psychopath. And to me, this looks like from the movie's trailer. To me, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is going to be a interesting, fascinating character who also happens to be a psychopath. And that's how you can tell that the skill and underlying narrative are solid, because they are characters in and of themselves, and the fact that they have a fascinating element to them, like being a psychopath or being a supervillain, is secondary or even tertiary.
Yeah, it's always important to like or respect or be attracted to the antagonist of a story. And in this case, the antagonist is the protagonist. He's just a really messed up guy. And there's plenty of stories out there. So there's really nothing inherently special about this character as a character drama or as a character depicted in movies that we haven't seen before. It's just the fact that it is based off a character we know, and we've never seen him done this way before. The same time we saw The Dark Knight, we were like, oh wow, we've never seen this version of Joker before, and everyone was highly skeptical, and it ended up being one of the best renditions of the Joker within the context of the comic books or the comic book stories. Christopher Nolan's take. So with this, this is just a character piece. This is just a man who happens to be based off a comic. And that's the whole thing. I think Bob is caught up in that. Aside from obviously the ideology, he's not letting go, but the concept. Oh, this should be a comic book film, but it's not. It should be an artsy film, but it's too artsy. It's not artsy enough, or it's not liberal enough, right? It's not saying all the things.
And of course, Bob Chipman would say it's too artsy. He just brought in Vegeta to help describe this movie, and that's still blowing my mind. I mean, it's still I can't get off of that. Oh, that's just ridiculous. So of course he would say this is too artsy, because his standard is Dragon Ball Z for some reason.
Oh dear.
Which has its moments, but I don't go to Dragon Ball Z for artsy. I go there for mindless action-packed nonsense, which is awesome. But I don't go there for like cerebral content.
What Goku is really thinking here is he really wanted to have a fight, and he does that for 22 episodes straight.
And then actually he like charges and powers up for 22 episodes, and then they start the fight, which lasts 44 episodes. while they're on the timer of 2 minutes. The 44 episodes encompasses 2 minutes of time.
Right. Thank you, Akira Toriyama. You're a genius.
He is. He really is.
Via transitive property, but it's not really about anything coherent in and of itself. So the fact that
there's nothing coherent in this entire movie. There's nothing you can possibly understand.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just a collection of scenes.
Just
it's
people in a city, and stuff happens. It makes no sense.
It's like taking a bunch of independent Monty Python sketches, putting them together, and saying this is one connective narrative.
Yeah, it's just call it the Flying Circus Joker movie. That's all it is.
Oh, that would be awesome. The Joker's Flying Circus.
Oh yeah, that would actually work.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
And never something completely different. No, I'm just going to kill another person. Bang.
And he's just shooting up a bunch of people. He becomes the mass shooter Joker they want him to be.
Well, you were expecting something original, weren't you?
This never happened before.
Phoenix makes Arthur Fleck feel like a consistent character is quite a feat, considering the film isn't giving him anything to work with beyond, okay, now here you're Travis Bickle. Now you're Dee Fens from Falling Down. Now you're Lester Burnham. Now you're the guy from...
Okay, so he's saying the movie isn't coherent or consistent, but he's saying the actor portraying the main character is. Doesn't that mean the movie is also consistent if the focus of the story is the Joker?
Yeah, and I think, is he just criticizing the fact that Joaquin Phoenix seems to be playing out different people? he's crazy in this movie. So in fact, I'm pretty sure he's schizophrenic in this movie.
That would be kind of the point of the Joker.
Being different people. And
exactly.
That actually fits with his if you're going off the Killing Joke, that would fit with his characterization there, because even in the Killing Joke, he says, "Oh, here's my backstory." We can see a backstory for the Joker, and by the end, he says, "You know, sometimes I remember it the one way, sometimes I remember it the other. If you have to have a past, it might as well be multiple choice, something like that." So, yeah, he's different people. He can be different people at different times because he's crazy.
God forbid we have a depiction of a man who's mentally crazy,
but sane at the same time.
And then but the actor portraying him does it coherently and consistently. It's like, wow, Bob, what are your standards on mental people? Like, tell me, what do you expect
Bob,
here?
Go back to Vegeta and Sailor Moon and stuff. I don't think this is your speed, man.
Fight Club. Okay, now you're the other guy from Fight Club. Now at least 3 different Sam Rockwell movies. Now officially Fleck is...
Okay, so Fight Club, he's selling me on this movie. He's mentioning that they're taking beats from Fight Club. He's selling me on this movie even more than I already am.
It's like, thanks, Bob. This is a great movie. I'm glad you hate it.
Because Fight Club, the movie, was great. And the book is also great. A little different, but both pieces of media are great.
No, he's as an author, he's really a cut above. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chuck Palahniuk, fantastic author. But yeah, Fight Club, I really like Fight Club. It was really good at what it was trying to do. So bringing in Fight Club isn't dissuading me from watching this movie, Bob.
supposed to be a luckless rent-a-clown and wannabe stand-up comic suffering from an unnamed but seemingly inspired by pseudo-bulbar affect mental illness that causes him to break out laughing at inappropriate times, struggling through a miserable existence, caring for his sick mother, and daydreaming of appearing on a popular talk show hosted by De Niro's character in a crime-ridden 1980s Gotham City, where a crippling garbage strike has inspired tone-deaf billionaire Thomas Wayne to run for mayor on an only I can fix it because I'm rich.
Are there jump cuts in his video because that's every time he needs to take a breath?
I have seen a few edits, maybe like a millisecond here or there. Yeah, I've seen a bit of that.
Yeah, I think he takes one big breath and then spews out the next lines of his script, and then he goes until he needs to take another breath, and then he cuts that part out.
Yeah, this is not how you normally communicate people, so don't do that.
Blah 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 blah. Right, cut that out.
Platform, but when Arthur
also try not to wear a pumpkin shirt when you're obese, just in general. Also a good rule of thumb.
Pumpkin shirt.
Loses his cool and murders a trio of Wall Street types who were bullying him on the subway, it creates an urban legend of killer clown vigilantes stalking Gotham's wealthy 1% that spawns a clown mask class-conscious protest movement that begins to engulf the entire city. At the same time, dark revelations about his own past, possibly involving Thomas Wayne himself, push Arthur over the edge and toward adopting the mantle of the Joker to...
Sounds awesome. Sounds like a bit of V for Vendetta. Sounds like...
rise up, incels rise up sort of thing. So
yeah, we're attacking the 1%, Bob. Isn't that good?
Yeah, they want to eat the rich, don't they?
Yeah.
Bob wants to eat the rich.
What's wrong,
too,
man?
right?
This is the right message. This is on par with your ideology, right?
Yeah, eat the rich. Eat the successful people. If you become successful, you're evil. Automatically.
They're depicting those people on the subway as bad, right? That's a good thing in your eyes. So kill them.
I like the fact that his ideology of eating the 1% is being portrayed or being led by a horrible, mentally ill villain.
It's like there's these things he likes, but he can't admit to it. It's like, oh, they're attacking the 1%. Wait, this movie is not bad because I can't like it. Oh, right. Oy.
Continue adopting the mantle of the Joker, basically. It's not really a movie with much of an end game or a point, though it definitely thinks it has several points and proudly shows this off well before we get to the moment of the Joker literally and metatextually lecturing the audience about the true function of comedy and the fact...
Okay, so there was another cut, but he's trying to say that because the movie doesn't have a clear point, it's bad.
It doesn't have a clear point. Now, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what kind of point it's trying to make. But it looks like this movie is trying to make some sort of point. Now, it could be it might have a resolution. And because as a revolution, it might have a message in there. And the director has pretty much confirmed that there is a It's a kind of a critique on woke culture. So he might have been blind to the point, but there might actually be a point.
It's kind of funny because these ideas are things some of them he likes, some of them he doesn't. But because the things he doesn't like in general is that it's not clear, which I would say, okay, if I don't have a clear message, at least one clear message, then I don't know what I'm watching. But I'm quite sure the movie is about a character named the Joker and a guy becoming him. That's it. All it has to be. That's it. If there's some other stories, there's some other messages or themes, great. There's more context. There's more layers. Fantastic. It doesn't have to do those things. And Bob's like, it's doing these other things, and I don't know what it's really trying. It's like he became the Joker. You just explained the moment where he became the Joker, where he attacked and killed those guys that were the 1%. It's like, that's the point. That's the climax. That's the point of the film. Bob, did you watch the film? You just told us. You just told us what you saw. Did you understand that?
You might have seen the film, but he viewed it in the way many woke NPCs watch films, is that they don't actually pay attention. They just look for things to get outraged by.
I'm guessing that has to be the case because I don't. Like, usually I say I want a point, I want an end goal, I want a clear understanding, but we have that. And from what I've heard, it's this character drama of a man becoming the thing that the title is telling us. All the advertising has been showing us. There is a guy called the Joker. He's becoming. Great. How we get there is up to interpretation, whether it's good or bad, but we have to understand that, at least from Bob's perspective, because he's not really telling us why it's bad. He just doesn't like it.
Also, what does he mean by metatextually? Like, what does he?
Oh, he always says meta something, and I'm just. I wish.
This is the first time I've ever heard that term.
Metatextual, meta context. I could probably make sense of, but not meta.
Meta contextually. That would make sense. What
Yeah.
is he read the script? Is he talking about something that's out? That would make sense if it was it was like, okay, metatextually, the text of the script, because context and text are kind of different terms here.
I think he got his words crossed and just dropped a prefix.
Metacontextually, that would make more sense.
Fact that society, we live in one of those. Did you know? Being.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, I know. We live in a society.
What was that all about? It's like, by the way, are you breathing now? Yeah, Bob.
I wonder if Bob will consider the Joker narratively correct.
Oh no. Let's not combine two brilliant minds. It's
two big brains together.
It's not going to work. That 800 IQ and Bob's T-shirt collection is just not going to, it's not going to fit.
Truly to blame for him being him, which frustratingly isn't even supported by the text of the plot. In fact, if Joker does have a coherent thematic or moral arc to call its own, it doesn't, but if it did, it would boil down to Fleck's journey of self-actualization through realizing that while society can be tough, the real cause of all of your problems is probably a woman. But because...
Wait, okay. Let's say that's true. You could say there's a story about a overbearing mother, a overbearing authority figure who happens to be female. I don't really see that from the trailer. Again, we haven't seen the movie. We see Robert De Niro as this sort of head honcho dude, so he's higher on the totem pole. Not too many women.
In fact, the antagonist to me in this movie seems to be Robert De Niro's character, because it's set up that the Joker, or Joaquin Phoenix's character, wants to be a stand-up comedian, and there's one part in the trailer where he looks at the TV and says, "Oh, look, I'm being featured." Pretty much, he has a smile on his face, and then Robert De Niro tears him down, and it seems like Robert De Niro is the antagonist. I don't see any women as being the main antagonists here. The only other major female character in the trailers I've seen are his maybe his friend, supposed love interest,
right,
who he's laughing with, and the mother he takes care of.
And if it is supposed love interest, there's nothing wrong with a man having a emotional reaction to a breakup, or having invested time and feeling into someone and then having them disregard that. That's pretty common in stories, but what if it's a man? What if he was homosexual? What difference would that make? There's no argument here to say that, oh, it's just a woman causing all these problems. Sometimes it is just a woman causing all these problems. Look at Macbeth, very classic story in Shakespeare. All that.
Lady Macbeth is an archetype now.
Yeah, it's just that pretty much. Yeah, if it wasn't for Lady Macbeth, then Macbeth wouldn't have gone crazy and started murdering everyone, or all the three witches wouldn't have influenced Macbeth. Like all these classical examples of men or women causing the downfall of someone else. It's like, yeah, so.
This is a movie that's only constructed to confer a sense of meaningfulness and depth on its subject by borrowing the sense memory of meaning and depth from other more familiar things. Its narrative and thematics,
such as Bob. It's borrowing from who? And if it's borrowing, why is that bad? What's wrong with?
There's nothing wrong with borrowing. I mean, as long as you're not ripping someone off, and just using what they did and then just passing it off as your own work.
If there was he had a photograph of like a Harley Quinn type character, and he's always like looking at it and be like, and it's never brought up, that would be like, okay, you're trying to work off the fame of the lore of the Joker in the comics, but if it's never developed, it's never showcased, it's like that's bad. So that would be a bad idea in a story. You reference this thing.
I kind of would want him to have like the Harley Quinn picture, and then her being like a fictional character or something, like someone who doesn't exist. And then
really?
If she comes to life, it's just it's always been a figment of his imagination.
Honestly,
he thinks she's real or something. Like she's a actual movie star.
That's fascinating. But the thing is, I think he's crazy enough. Like from what I saw from the trailer,
he's pretty crazy.
That's all you just need one guy who doesn't know comedy trying to be funny. I think that is as awkward and like strange and creepy as you need to be. And he goes to comedy clubs. He acts as a clown. He just doesn't get it. Like that is like, to me, that's all you need, really. To add in other things, like he has to go see a counselor and he's on medication or he's not on his meds. That's like, okay, now we're getting into the details. It's fine. But to throw in stuff like he's hallucinating is like, whoa, okay, that is a whole, like that's the kind of stuff I sort of, my eyes sort of roll back like, oh, here we go. Like the audience, or rather the movie was lying to the audience. So you have to be careful with that. It depends how it's done.
Structure all over the map. Fleck's personal journey and the Gotham class warfare uprising don't ultimately have anything to do with or say about each other. Splitting his authority figure fixations between De Niro's talk show guy and Thomas Wayne don't add up to anything other than fitting in more Batman stuff, and leaves both subplots underdeveloped. Zazie Beetz gets utterly wasted on a character who makes no sense other than to set up a reveal that will be absolutely shocking to anyone in the audience who hasn't seen a movie before. And even its most sincere saving grace, apart from Phoenix's performance, the truly excellent 1980s Urban Decay production design ends up betraying the shallowness of its inception. Despite all the effort in recreating the late 70s, early 80s Scorsese New York aesthetic for Gotham, Joker's heavy-handed political allusions are all about Occupy, Anonymous, 99% classism angst, all pointed straight at 2019. And one of the major plot points...
Okay, so he doesn't like the 99% rising up motif? Is that what he's saying? Really?
I think it's probably only because it's being portrayed as villainous.
Oh, that's why he doesn't like it.
And it should be portrayed as heroic.
Oh, now it makes sense. Oh, this explains so much. Because he is depicting as part of the 99%, and he's a, whatever they call incel or whatever the term is.
Psychopath, mentally ill person.
And because he's one of those, it's like, oh, I'm not part of that group. He's not part of the philosophy that I espouse to. It's like, oh, Bob, we get it. We know where your bias is. Oh, isn't that, I think, see, once you understand the thinking behind these people, you're like, oh, it all fits together. So everything he says out of his mouth makes perfect sense. Because the people depicted are bad and I like them, it's a bad movie. Oh, perfect.
Points involves one of Arthur's stand-up routines essentially going viral, which was in no way a thing 30 years ago. In other words, it has no meaningful or important connection to the era it's trying so hard to take place in, other than to remind you that you're supposed to be thinking about Taxi Driver. You know, guys...
Yeah, that's a horrible idea, having a movie make you think about another movie that's really good and going, that's a great homage to that great movie. I mean,
same vein as another great movie.
What a horrible idea by a director. Say, you know what? I really like Taxi Driver. I'm gonna have a scene very similar to that, where he's walking and the car just stops as he starts screaming at the car. I'm walking here. Oh, was that even Taxi Driver? I don't even think that was Taxi Driver. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, I could be totally wrong.
That line.
What I'm saying is, if you're paying homage to a great movie, that's a good thing, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. And for people who get the homage, more power to you. But if the scene still works without it, that means it's a good scene. So, Bob, tell us why homages to Taxi Driver, Falling Down, King of Comedy, like all these other movies where you have a guy going down into madness, are bad. You just have to say why it's bad. And you haven't really. All you've said is the point is unclear. When I can tell you the point just from looking at the trailer, what the point of the movie is, and it's how it's done that's the problem. See, he has to say how the depiction of Joker is bad, and we haven't quite gotten that yet. We haven't quite seen why this is a bad rendition. Why Joaquin Phoenix? Because he loved Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal. He says this is very consistent, very good. It's like,
it was still bad.
But it's still, yeah, I'm like, okay. I'm not following it. So it has to be something in the script that the plot development didn't work. You didn't like the subplots that didn't go anywhere, which is usually a bad thing. But when you're talking about a crazy person, some ideas that are depicted from a crazy person don't make too much sense. And that might be the point. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the movie's going to be when I see it, but I'm going to bet you it's not going to be half of what Bob was talking about.
Probably not.
Oh, people are talking in the chat. Thank you for the correction. Midnight Cowboy. That was a scene I remember because it was unscripted.
Yeah, it was just a moment thing. It was just improv.
Yeah, because they what they do when they film a set or pretty much a piece of downtown, they rent off the block, and one taxi driver didn't know that, and he was just going around like, what the hell's going on? And that's when the actor started freaking out, started banging on the taxi, and they just kept shooting. It was great.
I wanted this to be good too, because if we're going to have so many of these, people need to be able to go outside the box and do different mold-breaking stuff.
Oh my God! What more do you want, Bob? This is like, how much?
This is about as out of the box as you can get.
What do you want him to do? Like pray to an imaginary god? Like what is? Invent a religion? Like what is? Have some sort of drug trip and like he's thinking he's in Las Vegas? Like what is?
Outside the box and portray the Joker as a hero, so that he can have the eat the 1% as a heroic thing. So that would be outside the box.
Yeah, we've seen some. Was it Frank Miller when they had, or was it Batman Beyond?
Dark Knight Returns.
I'm trying to. There's a Joker. I think it was Batman Beyond, where in the future there's the Jokers. It's a gang. And they all have the face paint and whatever.
I think it was Batman Beyond.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's if people start putting like I tied the connection to V for Vendetta, where everyone's wearing the masks. So that's where I saw that scene. That's how Gotham is reacting, and we see that also with the Frank Miller scene of the Batman gang. They all have the Batman masks as well. So it's not an uncommon idea. And the problem is it improperly depicted in this movie. And we have to see that. Say, okay, Bob, tell us why it's bad. Why it's bad to have people who are the 99%, that group you love, showcasing that, yeah, rich people are bad. Why does it have to be bad, Bob? It seems like a pretty clear message from the movie, which you say is unclear. There's too many messages? Is that the problem? I can't... Obviously, seeing it in a trailer is a lot simpler than watching the whole thing in context, but...
Yeah.
It's I just want to know the fundamental reason why Bob doesn't like this, because everyone I've talked to was like, this is amazing, it's superb, it's shocking, it's this and that. It's like, oh, really? And Bob's like, it's too complicated. It's unclear.
Because Vegeta, they can't have the simplicity of man fights other man, and we get a resolution at the end. One of them gets beaten up and taken to the hospital.
Yeah, I think his standards change with every movie, and then he finds something to complain about. Whereas people like yourself will be like, okay, is the plot clear? Does he have a reason to do what he's doing? Do you guys have a goal? Yep. Okay, let's go with that. Let's see how it plays out. Like, as long as it makes sense from getting to A to B, I'm happy. It's fine by me. If he's a crazy person, I expect a lot of things to not make sense, but not the context of the film. Okay.
But this isn't it. Joker is a shallow movie playing at being deep, a basic movie that thinks it's complex, and not even a particularly shocking or violent or weird or transgressive enough one to be outraged about in any meaningful way.
Okay, how about the people that walked out on the film when it was premiered last week? They were shocked, like dozens on Twitter at least. I don't know who these people are, but they were shocked. They had an emotional connection. That's pretty impressive. I'm trying to wrap my brain around Bob's opinion. I need him to validify his opinion, and he's not doing it. He's just saying this is shallow and not shocking. It's like, really? That's the exact opposite I've heard from people. And I'm trying to remember the review of Red Letter Media where he had Jay, where he's like he's the movie snob kind of guy. He's like, it wasn't that great. And you have Mike. It's like, well, the first half was kind of boring, and then it just picked up. It just totally like ramped up. We understood why the Joker was the way he was. And it's like, Jay, did you not, like, again, we have to fall back on that question. What were you watching? What was going on in your head when you saw that? What did not connect? And that's what I really want to talk to those people. I really would like to talk to Bob about that, because I'll see this film eventually. But everyone who's seen it, every review I've read has been this sort of, this is shocking, this is powerful, this is great. It's
people walking out of the movie.
All kinds of praise.
I've been seeing a bunch of praise from people who actually honestly like the movie, honestly seen the movie.
Yeah, I had the benefit because I'm in Toronto and we have TIFF, and TIFF ended I think last month, and it was showcased there. So I got a lot of critics that I either chat to or read about in our local papers and blogs. They were all like, "This is amazing. This is great. This is brilliant." Da 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 da. So maybe it's the mainstream critics that get it wrong, and it's the local people that actually, this is actually really powerful stuff. And as we watched that first video with Miss PhD film studies major professor, that it's such a big budget. I mean, how dare you? Like, what are you thinking? It's like, what is wrong with these people? I want to know. What is the hoopla? What is the problem? I can't see it.
It's too real. It's not cozy enough. There's no safe space you can run to.
Yeah. The point of the film is to get you shocked.
That's probably why he even they mentioned that he tried to sneak in a real film under the guise of a comic book movie, because it doesn't seem like you're allowed to make real films anymore. Something that makes you think, something that makes you feel, something that's powerful.
Right.
Like, you don't really get these movies like Taxi Driver or like American Psycho or anything like that. You don't really get these movies anymore. It's all blockbusters. It's either blockbuster, popcorn muncher, or woke media crap.
I wish I could interpret Bob in a clearer way, but he's sort of saying it's good in some places and horrible in others, and I don't get it, and it's clear in this, not clear in general. Okay, his definition of clarity has to be defined, and we have to understand what he means and why, and then we have to see it as he applies it to another movie of a similar genre, like Taxi Driver or whatever. And be like, okay, sure. This is not Taxi Driver. It's clear. It's not as clear as Taxi Driver. I think Taxi Driver is pretty obvious what's going on. Same with Falling Down. I guess you could say there was a bit of an anti-consumerism message in that, but it wasn't prevalent. It was mostly a guy going through his midlife crisis and getting fired and all the events that happened after that. So this is harder to grasp because we have a person who's already down in the dumps and he's getting beaten even further. And he's trying to gain something out of that, and he gains notoriety by becoming violent. And I guess that's what Bob doesn't like, the violent of the 99% of this little guy becoming a villain.
They hate the violence.
They hate violence, yeah.
It has nothing much to say, and yet it won't shut up. 4 out of 10, mostly for Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, guess I'll go move into the panic room.
I bet you he actually has a panic room. If he paints his entire room green, fluorescent green.
He's probably no stranger to a panic room.
He's not too far removed from, hey, you want really soundproof walls, maybe some bulletproof plating. This and it's like, yeah, I can see that going to the store. So what can we make of this Mr. Shipman today? He was his usual colorful self of fast cuts to take a breath and not making too much sense of things which are clear and not clear. And let's go look at what is the Rotten Tomatoes score? Has anyone noticed it yet? I haven't seen it lately.
I haven't checked it. I haven't checked it recently anyway.
I'm just curious because these things jump around a lot.
I think it was one of those low critic score, high audience. Yeah, right now it's at a 90% audience score.
Wow.
And a 69% critic score.
It was way lower last month when the pre-reviews came out.
Because the mandate is to downvote this movie.
681,000 reviews gave it a 90%.
90%. It has an A. It has an A grade.
That's crazy high. I'm trying to look at some of these bad reviews. I'll do it at my own time, guys. But man, it seems as if all the critics that say something just believe the opposite. And Bob Shipman is just one of those video guys or people we can depict on YouTube, where everything he says is like, okay, right. You got a little truth nugget there from your references to movies, but I'm going to go ahead and believe it's the opposite, and then I'm going to go watch the movie myself without any general without any I'm going to go watch a science fiction movie and expect a romance. Like, there's going to be no stupid biases that are in our thought process. It's just, hey, what's on the screen? This is what's happening.
Yeah. I wonder, why do they keep Bob Shipman around? Do people actually like him, or?
Well, he got rehired.
As like a circus or something.
Yeah, he got rehired by The Escapist after he quit or whatever. And I think The Escapist is essentially just Yahtzee.
Yeah, that's what everyone knows The Escapist for now these days. Just Yahtzee Croshaw. There used to be other shows like Unskippable.
Oh yeah,
they kind of died off.
I like them.
Maybe just Yahtzee now.
They were pretty cool. But again, I'm not some master entertainer myself. I'm just saying that The Escapist used to be something else. Then Bob left. Then he came back, and I don't know what it is anymore. I stopped going to the forums a long time ago. So, 90%. That's probably a movie worth seeing. Any other thoughts you have on the Joker? Are you going to go see it soon, or is it going to be like one of those things you'll watch on cable reruns? Or
I'm probably going to go see it soon. As soon as I can, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's
waiting for that movie.
Oh yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. If you have any comments, please leave them after this video has been baked. And in case anyone knows, I'll leave a little tidbit in the comments because this is a second attempt at streaming and we screwed up the first, or audio. I'll leave a link to LiteratureDevil's what is it? Not your Patreon. What is it? It's the
A comic. I have a comic alive right now. Speaking of villains, actually, speaking of supervillains and supervillain stories, I actually came out with a comic about a week ago. It's now live on Indiegogo.
Indiegogo. There we go.
Yeah, Indiegogo, and it's called Doctor Alpha Miracle Child, and it follows in the footsteps of the tradition of Alan Moore and Frank Miller. I like superhero cliche, so it starts off with a superhero cliche, but then it goes from superhero cliche to tragic human drama. So it follows the footsteps and traditions of Alan Moore, mainly from The Killing Joke. I took a lot of inspiration from The Killing Joke. You can probably see that from the promotional art, because it's basically the cover. I use the promotional art, but yeah, it's just it follows the story of Dr. Alpha. He's been a supervillain for decades, and it's fun, like a bunch of superhero fun in the beginning, and then we go into a more dramatic turn where we get to see more of his life, and what it asks the question, or at least it dives into the question: what makes someone turn evil? What makes someone turn into a supervillain when most people are superheroes? And the way this happens is that Dr. Alpha is used to combat a fellow super genius villain by the name of Martian Mastermind. So I use the alliteration and superhero cliche, but then underneath it's going to go a little deeper. And it's now available on Indiegogo. Trying to get to 25K to make sure I can afford everything and don't go into debt over producing this comic. So yeah, just if you're interested in a complex story with complex characters, or a more complex story with more complex characters, then yeah, just feel free to check it out.
I'm excited to see. Anytime someone makes it their own media and they get a Kickstarter going, I'm always gung-ho. Actually, that reminds me, I have 2 games to give out. I'll be doing it either tonight or tomorrow for raffles. I do a raffle thing, so if you leave a comment in one of my videos, you might be the chance to win them. I'll showcase the game in the video, and I'll definitely link to Literature Devil's Indiegogo campaign in the description after I edit this video. I got to clean it up, the old one as well. But thanks, guys, for chilling out with us and being patient. I really appreciate it. And all the super chats, of course. It's always acceptable. Always a wonderful thing to have from you guys. Your time and money is always appreciated. Have yourself a good evening, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, everyone.